Friends, if you're looking for real old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember MEAD magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today. Welcome once again, everybody, to Midnight's Edge After Dark. It's the 30th day of January. It's nearly the end of FU January. We've got a couple things to discuss today. We have Clobbering Times with us. He's going to help us talk about those things. How are you doing?
All right, buddy. Thanks for having me. Hello to my good friends out there in the chat and friends here on the panel. Good to see you all.
Yes, indeed. We're always glad to have you here. We also have CC coming in from the Great White North.
Glad to be here as always. Just woke up from a nap. This is one of those days. Nice day, but sleepy. I'll just sleep the whole day.
You kind of sound like your sloth
yeah
icon that you use sometimes now. You're just like, yeah, I'm here. Glad to have you though. Welcome also, Script Doctor. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm happy to be here tonight.
Glad to have you. Also joining us is Price of Reason. How are you doing?
Good. What's up?
Not much. We're just about to talk about some news. We're glad to have you as well. And we're glad to have all of you out there in the audience. I see we got some regulars already, like Daryl Brewer and D-Bud Martin swinging around the wrench. Lance Corporal Waffles is here. Tim Hayes is here. Thank you for being a member as well. We've got Lombardi 1969. Fresh Snow is here. Cryam's here. Jeremy Winfield is here. Guess who else is here? All 32 flavors of Nick Weiser. Good day, mate.
Good day to you. That's a big bloody knife you got.
That's not a knife. It's a knife.
It's a knife. Love that movie, dude.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Well,
It's a
Price of
Sheila.
Reason joining us for that too.
I am. Yes.
Wow,
Sir.
Looking
Yeah.
forward.
I'll try to stay up for it, but I don't know. I got beat up
Love
today,
it,
but it's
love
a
it.
great film. Especially
Yes,
love
sir.
when he checks out the transvestite.
Oh, dude. Like, it's funny because outside that scene is you think it's not really a toxic movie, but that scene ramps it up just from that one part. We'll talk about it later. But yes, hello, Midnight's Edge chat and wrenches, and hello to the panel. Let's talk.
It's not a Sheila at all.
No Sheila at all.
It's not
No.
a Sheila.
But they're
You
still
all knew.
friends.
Y'all knew you pack of bastards. But the bucket.
Did you notice they're still friends after that? Well, I'm sure that
Oh, yeah.
so-and-so had a good time. But anyway. Yes, Nick is never late. He's like a wizard. He just shows up when he's meant to. So
Yeah.
actually, his timing
I-
was pretty damn perfect tonight. He showed up just in time for his intro.
I have gotten better in the recent last few episodes. I have gotten better, so that means that's a sign. Progress is
Well, I
happening.
think you're usually heading home just before the show starts, so sometimes you
it's
get stuck
exactly
in
what
traffic. So.
it's the work thing. It's all because of work. So hopefully,
Well, it's better
one
that
day
he's late for Midnight's Edge and not late in other things.
Yeah,
So,
we need
yeah.
the job so we can do things with the life.
right. We got Captain Fandom Nerd here as well, who's been a member for 32 months. Holy crap! Now that's a milestone.
Nice.
32 months. Wow, that's amazing. We also have Goddess of Whim here, sending us in a super sticker. Thank you so much for that, Goddess of Whim. It's a little Sheba dog, farting hearts. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate that. It's been a while since we've had that super sticker. Thank you so much, Goddess. So thank you for the support, guys. We appreciate it. And yeah, so let's get right into this news today, because this was announced. I think it was a rumor initially, and then it got announced, or James Gunn confirmed it. I got to bring up the story here about our new Supergirl. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not.
I have.
But yeah, let's see here. Get rid of some of this ad stuff. Hang on. Block some ads. All right. No, I don't need notifications. Get over there. Okay. Whoa. My screen just went wonky on me. I can't see you guys.
Well,
my computer just totally crapped out on me. Hang on, I'll be right back.
Oh, it's okay. We're here. We got this. Hello, chat. Yeah. So, how's it going, Script Doctor?
I've been doing a bunch of interviews and pitches all week. I've got more lined up. So things are kind of picking up on industry side of things. So I'm very happy with that.
That's good. That's good. Hey, good for you, Script. That's fantastic. That's the good news we like to hear.
Yeah.
Script's got some good news. What happened?
Oh,
people
really
are interested in hiring me for various jobs and writing gigs.
And you're white?
And I'm white.
I don't believe it.
Awesome. All right. Speaking of being white, so is Supergirl.
That I don't believe.
Right.
That I refuse to believe. I'm sorry. Whoa, it's true? Holy crap.
It is. It is actually true. Even though it's going to be Tom King's Supergirl and it's supposed to be young punk girl's Supergirl, but looks like Millie Alcock of House of Dragon is going to be playing the role.
Oh my God, the cock. Oh my God, the cock.
Well, I hope she doesn't have one.
Same thing.
Oh, shit.
So we got Corn Sweat playing Superman and Alcock playing Supergirl. Is James Gunn just picking the
weirdest names?
Basically, that's what I was thinking. Is the weirdest names, but they're just ones that James Gunn just sits there and giggles about them.
Holt the sweaty cock.
Yep.
Now, you may recognize Millie from House of Dragon. She was on that show. So yeah, what's your guys' reaction to this? Let's start with you, Klobby, since you're the comic book guy. What's your reaction to this casting?
This is a awful comic. If he is really adapting this trash, he's got Tom King in there, so I have no hope. I have no faith in James Gunn. I'm sorry, not that I won't give him a chance. There's a difference between having no faith and giving someone a chance. It's a delicate balance. Tom King is trash. That comic is trash. Try reading it and tell me you got through it. And maybe, because I've actually tried. I never really gave two craps about it. When Gunn said he was going to adapt this, and I went and tried to read. Oh man, I got a few issues in. It's wow. So again, nothing against the young lady one way or the other. I'm actually shocked beyond belief that she's even close to someone who could resemble the comic book Kara Zor-El. But it's her. Nothing against her. She might be good. I've never seen her in anything. I know you've all seen Game of Thrones. I haven't, or whatever it is, House of Dragon. I've not. Nothing against her. She's probably a good casting. But if he's really adapting this comic, whatever, man. Good luck. That's all I got on Tom King's and James Gunn's idiocy.
CC.
James Gunn's an idiot. Sorry.
I'm surprised that Peter Dinklage is all right with Alcock.
Alcock all the time.
I said we can't hire small people anymore. Now they're here.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people. Okay, so up front there is a bit of controversy over this, surprisingly, and it's not because she's white. It's because she's short. She's like 5'4", I guess, or 5'5".
Supergirl is
she's
short
5
in the
feet.
book.
She is
so
not.
that's
Well,
fine.
yeah, you're probably right, Script, because as you know that
5'4" is
I'm going
average.
I'm going by what Google says, okay, and I know that they lie.
Yep.
And here's the thing, though: if you go by what Google says, she's 3 inches shorter than Helen Slater. So I don't know if I believe that necessarily, but that's, I guess, the big controversy going around is her size. But
yeah, she doesn't look. I mean, wow, yeah, no, I'm with you. She doesn't really look the part. I mean, but the fact that she's a blonde white girl astounds me.
She's tiny. I mean, she played
Yes,
a 12-year-old and 16-year-old in the same series, and she
wow,
passed for both with very little makeup.
Oh, good lord.
She did a good performance in that show. I just don't.
I don't know what
she
age
would
Gunn
be
is
my
playing
choice.
this character. That's my point too. Script is, from my understanding, he supposed to be aiming for a bit younger Supergirl in this instance, I guess, was the whole
Yes, he
concept.
is.
Yeah.
But the Supergirl in that story is not like abnormally young that I remember. But, I mean, I don't know.
Like
But
18
that doesn't
is
matter.
like the target age.
No,
I
but
mean,
he said
the
something
actor's
about
20.
Yeah, but he said something about her being a punk rock teenager.
Oh,
So I think he's going to have her be like a teenage character.
Well, that sounds like that reeks of that atrocity called Woman of Tomorrow.
it does. But that story is so not for a movie. I mean,
It's
an animated Elseworlds type thing or something, I guess.
Yeah,
Made
it
me
was under
happy,
their
but-
D Black Label.
right. It's
thing.
very Elseworldsy.
Yeah, it is very Elseworldsy. You are absolutely on the nail with that, Club. Here's the thing: when you read that
The
story,
art sucks.
not only does Supergirl not act like Supergirl at all,
No.
you'll know if you're a comic
She-
fan, especially if you know who Tom King is and his resume, and the fact that he's involved in Gunn and Safran's DCU. He has had a habit since at least, let's just say, 2018 of writing characters as all the characters all act like Tom King. Not even just a self-insert. Every character is Tom King.
Yeah.
And he writes these stories where he has a lot of stories written, and then he gets asked basically to DC, hey, which characters are not being used right now? And they basically run him a list. And this has literally happened. This is not an exaggeration. They say this character is available. And he inserts those characters into a story. So if you're ever like wondering why this character is acting so funky, that's exactly why. Because the story's already written. He just gets to insert the characters into a story that he's already written. And on top of it,
the story doesn't even take place on Earth, Nick.
Nope, it doesn't. No, this story at best, and I have to emphasize the words at best. So obviously, as I've very well documented, but I'm going to document once again for those who maybe are not as familiar with the show. This comic book, I go to one of the biggest shops, comic shops in all of my state. Historical, almost 3 decades, yada yada. We get a pretty good idea of what does good across the market. And like I said, we're definitely one of the most represented shops of all the comic shops in the state. Comics sold average. This was never a story that garnered any buzz, even among the King loyalists, because he does have his buyers, but that's a very small number. It wasn't like a number that whereas at least the early days of Batman pre-non-wedding, this was a very small number. This was not a story everyone was just like, oh, you have to read this. It was pretty much the only people who bought this were the people who were already just going to buy it because Tom King's name on it. And the people who tried it out because there are people who like Supergirl. Supergirl actually does have her fans. Didn't like it when they saw what Tom King was all about. So it sold average at best. And I'm talking like to issue 1 even. This is a 7-issue miniseries. But yeah, didn't get off the ground. It wasn't this big series that they're now trying to make it sick. It was this classic. No, it was never classic. That's a lie. It's a lie and a half.
Anything else to add, CC?
I mean, she's good looking, I guess.
CC.
It's all right.
Something.
Me
We'll
and
get
Claudia got on a comic tangent.
No, just in an age of not hiring people for their looks, I'll take it. But sure. I think Claudia and Nick hit the points better than I could.
Well, Script, you've been fairly quiet other than a few things. So what's your thoughts on this?
As I said earlier, I thought she did a solid performance in House of the Dragon. So she does have the chops. She's not the look I would go for. I mean, aside from, of course, the blonde hair and white skin, she's just a little too small, too childish in appearance, I think, for this type of role. But But I mean, if James Gunn is going with something more youthful and innocent, she definitely fits the bill physically that way. So we'll have to see how he wants to present her in this new franchise he's fashioning.
Bryce.
I mean, I liked her in House of the Dragon. I think that she's a decent actress, like Script said, but there's something about her. She's a bit, I don't know if to say awkward or something. It worked for that role. I totally bought her in that role that she was in that setting. But I think that Supergirl, in my opinion at least, has to look more traditionally. I don't want to say pretty. I don't think that she's bad looking, but a different type of look. Helen Slater to me looked like something that could be Supergirl, whereas this girl doesn't look like that. I think that when they narrowed it down to a few options, the other options seemed to have more of a Supergirl look, and they ended up going with this one.
Yep.
And the other thing I'll say is that it's only a matter of time if it didn't already start. I haven't been looking on Twitter the past few days, but aren't there people now whining that they got rid of Sasha Kaye or whatever her name was, and that she was like not white and this girl is? Like, aren't there people complaining? I feel like it's only a matter of time.
Yep. What's happening?
It's happening already. I mean, truth be told, if Sasha Kaye, they hadn't made her look like a little boy, and had they maybe given her blonde hair and not just gone and blabbed all this crap in the press of all their sort of stupid nonsense, I don't think she was bad. Out of that Flash movie, I didn't dislike her. I just think that she looked like a boy, and the movie was bad, but I didn't hate her.
Agreed.
All right. Nick, anything more to add to what you said already, or?
I mean, I have nothing to base her acting criteria on. I mean, so it's really hard to judge on that. I mean, at least they gave a girl who kind of looks like a Supergirl. I'll give her that but once again, I mean, she does look like she might be like 4 foot, but once again, the photo could just be deceiving in my eyes. So hopefully she's good at acting, and hopefully her part in the Superman movie is small, because right now it just looks like a Superman and Friends movie and not a Superman movie. Once if it's like a cameo just to introduce her, like, hey, look, there's Supergirl. Cool, great. But right now this cast just looks like it's a DEI cast. I know that term is starting to get overused now, and even I think it is. But right now we're seeing the proof with this, because it just feels like, once again, every single thing now coming out now has to have a team, so they can cover all the bases, basically.
Funny you say that, because I have actually nothing against this casting. I think it's fine. Because
I like.
I'm wrong. Well, even in the understanding of like the hook of Supergirl, my memory is that she was older than Kal-El when he was sent to Earth, but by the time she got there, she was younger because of how things worked out. So her being this young and having an actress who can play young longer, I have no issues with, because you can kind of keep her at a teenage kind of age if that's what your game is. But I'm with you, Nick, on this problem is I shouldn't need to know who the fuck Supergirl is yet. I need to see Superman first. Yep. And the fact that they're announcing this now tells me that she's probably going to pop up in Superman.
You know she
so
is.
Add another one to the fucking bunch.
She might be a part of the Kryptonian story if they do a
that I can at least understand
before they actually put her in the suit or anything of that nature. She's part of the family that watches little baby Kal-El go off, and then maybe she jumps in her Earth spaceship, and that's the last we see of her in Superman Legacy.
You could be right. And that I'll accept. That I will accept. But otherwise, we already have way too many superheroes in this fucking movie to where if Supergirl shows up too, even if it's especially if it's an end credit scene, I'm going to be like, oh my God. Did you guys not learn anything?
End credits I can get, and I will.
There better not be an end credit scene. That's what I'm saying, is they should just worry about one goddamn movie at a time.
No, they should. Preferably, yes. But would I prefer that over a big ensemble cast? Yes, I do agree with you, Tom. All I'm just saying, if it came down to one or the other, I'd have them rather be an after credit scene rather than another big battle ensemble cast. Yeah, because I don't mind the idea of them introducing these characters in that respect. But Preferably, no. I would rather not have any of these characters.
Not in the
even
main
ones that I
storyline.
like. Not even the ones I like. And I'm not even knocking on the casting of those other characters. I will give Gunn and Safran credit in that regard that those other actors who are casted for their parts, they look promising. We'll say that. They look promising. But the thing is, we don't need them. We still need the Superman movie to do well. And yet here we are already lining these people up like as if this is going to be like
Impatient.
Yeah, they obviously they just have no patience for us. Like, at least we could say when we had the first Iron Man movie, it was an Iron Man movie. Yeah, you saw James Rhodes, but it was still about it was Tony's story. It was his moment to shine. It was also about getting the universe off the ground too. They have no universe that they're getting off the ground. They're just trying to sprint towards us. They are.
Well,
sprinting
Coulson
towards
was
us.
in there, but that was more of a joke. And then
Yeah, but that
And
wasn't
Fury at the
really.
end.
It was
You-
still an
same thing
Iron
with
Man
Fury
movie.
at the
That's the
end.
thing,
But
yeah.
yeah.
It's
Right,
still
yeah,
an Iron
yeah.
Man movie through and through. When you watch
Exactly.
it.
No, and I agree. And that's the way Superman should be set up. Honestly, I'm with script in this. Like, if you didn't announce all these other superheroes that were going to be in it, if I was hearing this, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. Because she's going to be there, like you just said, script, when Kal-El's being sent off and or doing her own thing at that time or introduced somewhere through that storyline of Krypton, if they do like a flashback or something like that. You know, I get that. But like, otherwise, why are we learning this now? Again, I'm just
It's
scratching my
basically
head. Yeah.
I think they're announcing this to try and keep it in the conversation because it's a year out from being released. And they've already made the
Yeah.
announcement last year. So it's basically like, hey, don't forget, comic book movies aren't gone yet. It doesn't matter that Marvel's on the decline. We at Warner Brothers are ramping up big things. Keep remembering us. They're probably going to use the JJ model of how we announce as a Star Trek 4 every couple of months.
Yeah.
And they'll probably do this until they drop that first trailer for Superman Legacy. And after that, we might start getting a little bit more closer to the chest reveals of cast and movies and things of that nature.
That's a
Just
good point. You're probably
announced
right.
Jason Momoa as Lobo already. We already know he's Lobo. You're already getting a lot more money than most people even expected. Granted, it's not going to overall
Watch,
make
James
money.
Gunn's cast him as Darkseid.
That would be weird. You know,
I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah, right. I wouldn't either.
because watch, he has what's his face who plays Drax come in and play Lobo, and everybody's gonna be like, "What are you fucking
Yep.
doing?"
I would not put either one of those past him.
Pilgrim Media sends in $2. Thank you so much, Pilgrim. How you doing? Supergirl is 6 foot, giant cans, athletic and hot. I mean, is she really just 6 foot though? I mean, I've never
Giant
really thought of
cans.
super. I mean, I'm not going to argue about the cans. I'm not going about the.
I don't know if they're
she
giant.
comes up to about Superman's chin or nose, give or take.
Yeah, and I could picture Superman being anywhere from 6 to 6'5" easy. So
Superman's like
Yeah.
6'4", 6'5". He's a
Oh,
tower
like Christopher
of a
Reeve
man.
was like just over 6 foot, wasn't he?
You
already have
6'3".
Yeah,
already
depending on
have
who
a
you
Superman's
ask.
movie.
power.
You already have a movie prototype, Helen Slater, and even that guy, I didn't like the show, but the girl on the Supergirl show,
Melissa Benoist.
Benoist.
Yeah, she
Either one
don't
of
seem like
those,
she's that big either. So,
get anywhere
No, she's
close
not
to
tall.
either one of those two, and you got a Supergirl that looks right.
well, and again, Apple boxes exist, and and this is where I'm saying, like, if he wants a younger kind of, I'm having a feeling, and this is kind of what I've been getting from James Gunn saying she's going to be punk girl Supergirl, or punk rock Supergirl or whatever,
Ugh.
is that she's probably going to be their Spider-Man stand-in. So she's going to be the teenager. She's going to show up. She's going to be the fish out of water, going to high school. She's going to be a Kryptonian trying to deal with, modern day stuff, which is a lot of stuff that I think he's going to skip over in Superman anyway, right? So it'll
Should
be kind of
more
a goofy,
Supergirl,
fun way to,
period.
like, a girl comedy kind of in school thing. Like, I think that's where it'll end up leaning towards.
Can she
You
do
might
an
be
American
right.
accent? Because she did the British one, which she is British, I think, and that's what she did on.
British or Australian, yeah.
I think she's Australian from what they were saying in the chat.
Oh, if she's
9 times out
Australian.
of 10, that's the first thing they learn in acting class. So, because that's why they
Right.
keep taking American actors' jobs.
Right, Australian. Here's what I've always noticed: Australians doing American accent, they somehow do it really. They make the transition very easily. British actors these days, I feel that they learn from an early age, but in the past they had more difficulty doing it.
I wonder if it's because I'm curious how much entertainment in Australia is like the ratio American to actual Australian entertainment compared to the UK, where I know they have a lot of entertainment. I can't think of a lot of things going off of what Nick's talking about tonight. This is a perfect tie-in to it. Toxic Tuesday. There's only a handful of things that I can think of that have come out of Australia entertainment-wise. So I'm curious if
On
maybe
the
they don't.
international market, they don't do a whole lot of stuff internationally.
Well, I'm just curious, do they have a lot of stuff there to where do they watch a lot more of our stuff than a lot of other countries do, is the point I was getting to.
They have a pretty thriving domestic entertainment industry.
Okay.
They just
All
don't distribute internationally as much.
Yeah.
That's about it. But I mean, every country gets American stuff. It's forced down everyone's throats. You can't
Well, I'm
reject
just
it.
wondering if it's even more so there because maybe they don't have as big of an industry was my question. I know they were big for a while in the
No, they're
like
I mean, the thing is Australia has a lot of tax credits and benefits for not just Australians, but also international. So they make a lot of stuff.
right.
Again, just
Yeah.
because you don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Oh,
Which
no,
I'm
no,
not
no.
making
I'm
any
not
type of
saying that.
accusation, of
And I'm
course.
not
I'm
saying
just-
that. That's
they
what I'm
do
asking
have-
for.
They
Yeah,
have
that's what I'm
some-
asking for.
They have some long running shows. Like there's something called Neighbors that they've had that for many
20
decades.
years,
That
I
it,
think.
yeah, it's something like a sort of like a soap opera ish type of situation, but it's very popular there.
Well,
And they have
yep.
other kind of, maybe they look cheaper. I don't know if these days, but for a while I think that their productions look cheaper, but they did have a lot of them.
well, then if that's the case, the other thing is then what happened was I guarantee you during like the 90s and the early 2000s or whatever it was when the boom of going over there to film movies for a while. I don't know if you guys remember that. Where like
Yeah.
every movie had a bit that took place in Australia because they were shooting all their movies over there.
Australia or New Zealand, yeah, there
Or
were
New Zealand,
huge
yeah.
tax credits that were done there
So
to
they
drive
probably
industry. Yeah.
they probably drove a lot of the, like I said, a lot of the acting classes to make sure that was a must that you learn how to do American
Not
accents.
really,
Probably
because international stuff don't like to hire mains that are local to the place.
doesn't
they're
mean they
shooting.
don't have to. It's kind of like when you make shit in Canada. You should know this. They force you to take a bunch of people sometimes, so you
Well,
got to fill up the roster.
Canada,
So
only on the background, on the very low end stuff, they only need that. On the main part, like your day players, your secondaries, your principals, they all import them from the United States, primarily.
that's why we
It's
got
hard
Margot
for-
Robbie and Hugh Jackman and shit and Millie Alcock and all these other people. I'm just saying, like
Yeah, like
we almost have
Evangeline
nearly as
Lilly-
many.
I'll put it to you this way: Evangeline Lilly had to be desperately worked as background and extra for like 6 years before she landed Lost, and she's from Alberta, Canada, and it took her a long time. Had she just went to LA right away, she probably would have gotten started faster and had major roles, but she didn't.
But yeah, my point is though, is we have a lot more Australian turned American actors now than when we did back when Paul Hogan was one of the main exports of the
He was the
80s.
only
Like,
one.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, I'm just trying to figure out where it comes. And I know there was a boom in that era, right? So I wonder if that's where a lot of this is coming from. And since then, we have had quite a few more.
I think part of the
Russell
reason
Crowe was the
also
other big one first that I remember too. But yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Bryce.
I
Sorry.
think part of the reason is that once you had a few exports that were successful, like a Nicole Kidman, which I believe started on that Neighbors, a lot of actors
Oh yeah,
that you'll
another
see
one.
in,
Yeah,
in
Well, Mel
Hollywood,
Gibson was born in
you'll
New
start,
York. He grew up in Australia. It's a
yeah,
big
he got
difference.
famous there. But yeah, anyway, you were saying.
she was on Neighbors, and I think that people started seeing the people that were on that Neighbors show and a few other shows were suddenly getting roles in the U.S. And once you see that something is possible, I think that probably they invest more in the American accent when they study acting at a younger age. Another
That's
thing
what
that
I was thinking,
Australians
yeah.
have somehow done is Australians can somehow do the British accent and the American accent, meaning they'll pop up on a British production
True.
and an American one. They have the most versatile. I don't know why with their accent they're able to, or maybe they just do this from a young age, but this has been in their system for a while now.
Well,
the way they
Australia
train
was
actors.
the prison country of Britain, so they do have a basis in that. But the Australian accent is actually really difficult to nail because it's not quite British. And it's not quite not British.
No, yeah,
I know people who
similarities,
have
but yeah.
commented on some of the better actors that try to do Australian and be like, "You're not convincing enough," and they're very right. Like you can tell. But the thing is, when it comes to the UK with like the Royal Academy of Arts over there, they put you through the ringer when it comes to dialects for like doing American, doing British, doing Canadian, doing Russian, doing German, all of those ones. So the Brits have like some of the best training for it. In fact, Carrie Fisher talks about how she had Debbie Reynolds, her mother, sent her over there to do it. And the elocution and diction classes that she had to go through will trip you up immediately and take many, many months, if not years, to master. And she has a whole stand-up bit about how difficult it is. And if you graduate from that, you are pretty much bang on. The only real giveaway on the British or Australian side when they do say American is that their voice gets almost a quarter octave deeper in order to nail it.
Well,
like Hugh Laurie is a great example. And also he can't hide his lisp either. So, but he gets way deeper than his actual natural voice, which is actually a little bit more high pitched.
Yeah.
I never could get to Hugh doing that American accent because I was so used to him on Blackadder and a bit of Fry and Laurie. It's tough for me to listen to him in that Sheldon House.
Yeah.
Well, and Hugh Jackman is a perfect example of what I was talking about, though, too, because I believe that was how he even got involved in X-Men, is because they were shooting most of that in Australia, if I remember right. And when they had to replace Dougray, who was Scottish, so that wasn't, but I'm sure they got a bunch more tax incentives, I think, for that, didn't they? Didn't they shoot that in Australia, or was that?
No, they shot that in Canada.
Second one. What was the first one? Was in Canada. Well, I know they shot.
Because I was an extra on it.
Well, I know they shot some of it there, but they didn't shoot all of it there, did they?
As far as I know, it was a lot. If they did do it in Australia, I mean, I wouldn't know at the time. Again,
maybe it was the second one or third one. I'm thinking of. I don't know.
One guy that does that accent, the American accent, brilliantly is Charlie Cox. He's incredible. Have you ever heard him talk? I mean, outside of playing Daredevil.
Yeah, he was in what was it? He was in a movie with a comedy with Robert De Niro. I think it was like Starshine or Starlight or something like that.
I've never seen him in anything. Okay, I've never seen him.
Yeah, he does that British accent.
Let's move on because we got some other stuff to talk about. We got some super chats here. We got Warrior Justice sending in $2. Says, I told a bloke joke to a cop, or a black joke to a cop, sorry, but he shot it down. Oh,
wow.
That is bad. Pinochet's helicopter tour says, how did a suspiciously white girl get hired? Well,
somebody failed.
So far, I mean, James Gunn's been hiring for the most part.
Look like the comic book counterparts.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. Warrior Justice sends in another $5 and says, what's the difference between enzyme and hormone? You can hear an enzyme, but you can't hear a hormone. Hey, back to Dr. Klobby. And yeah, that one's that one's a little not too bad. But Pilgrim Media does point out that even though Mel Gibson wasn't born in Australia, they didn't use his voice in the original Mad Max because he did have a pretty thick Australian accent in that. But yeah.
Yep.
Warrior Justice says with another $5, why can't you play Uno with Hispanics? Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Because they always steal the green cards. Oh no. MJ and a math teacher both agree 3 and 5 are prime numbers. Warrior Justice back again. It's been a while, my friend. How you been? Pinochet's helicopter tour sends in 2 and says Damian Lewis was Brit and had many American roles. Oh yeah, well, Brits have a long history of American roles.
The only American I can think of doing British accent all the time was for a while was, what was it, RDJ?
There's a couple of guys who can do it pretty good, but not many. Yeah, and actually, a lot of them tend to be like Canadian actors and such.
Yeah,
and that's probably.
Are we doing Ghostbusters now?
Yep.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I'll be right back.
He didn't see it.
Hold on.
He's got to change his outfit.
There we go. Okay.
All right, so this is not the same trailer that dropped. This dropped yesterday, but this is the international trailer, which is different from the American trailer. So, people have been bringing that up, and I want the guys to see it. So, there's probably a couple of guys on the panel who haven't seen it yet. So, we're gonna check it out and we're gonna discuss it because it does have some different bits in it.
We've all had experiences and encounters with the unknown and the unexplainable. Here, we pay top dollar for your possessed possessions. Now, this is very, very interesting.
Have it for 40.
I've never seen anything like this at all.
60.
All over New York City, ghost attacks are on the rise.
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
And we are the only ones equipped to fight back. Welcome to the new Paranormal Research Center.
You just let ghosts hang out in here?
We've spent 40 years trapping them. Now we can study them.
He's cute.
Yeah.
Ever since you brought in this orb, strange things have been occurring. We think it's commanding the other spirits.
Is something trying to get out?
Many things.
We could be looking at a full-bore army of ghosts with the power to kill by fear itself.
Like literally scared to death?
That's messed up.
So what is the plan?
We're the Ghostbusters. We stay and fight for this place. Suit up. Shoot anything that looks terrifying.
That orb is prophesizing to bring about the end of humankind.
The second ice age.
Get away from her!
All right. So,
Well, very different trailer. Yeah.
yeah, as I was saying, yeah. So,
A
what's,
much
the
better
reaction?
trailer.
Claudia, let's start with you. Well, or Nick, you said it was better. So, let's start there. You thought this was better than the first trailer you saw yesterday.
I thought it was much better. It has one of my concerns a little dialed down, and that is we'll just say the message on GW. Doesn't mean that won't happen, but usually if they're about to unleash it, they would this would be right around the point where they would start to tease it. It seems like it's going to be more of a supernatural thing, which is reassuring for me. No, I'm still kind of like iffy. No, it's not going to be one of those things that's going to ruin it for me, but I don't like, from what I'm seeing, the everyone is a Ghostbuster thing. But other than that, it still looks a lot more entertaining. And I remember hearing Ivan Reitman said that one of the purposes of this sequel is to take more influence from the cartoon. I feel like it shows actually in the trailer. So it does look a lot. It definitely looks a lot more wackier and out there. It does seem like it's gonna have a little bit more of an edge to it too, while still being fun and Ghostbusters-y. So I'm fine with that. If we do have a little bit of that, of a more measured, darker tone to balance out the fun, and as long as it's not polarizing like a Taika Waititi type of thing, this could be good. And I can forgive Patton Oswalt being in this movie. It doesn't look like his part's gonna be all that significant too, so I can survive him. We'll say I can survive him if he has a small part that's nothing overly significant. So overall, I might be contrarian on here, but I'm fairly optimistic about this one.
I don't know. I noticed he was like all over the US trailer, but this one was like the patentless trailer. Like, the less they could show of him, they tried.
Mm-hmm.
The least amount. Like, they even cut him out of the shot with the lion roaring at the library.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they cut to where all you could see was a bit of Ray, and that was it. But Clobby, yeah. So, what's your reaction to it?
It is a bit of a different trailer for sure. I think I kind of agree with Nick. It's a little more entertaining and a little more, but seeing Patton Oswalt, oh God, such a buzzkill. But that said, also this trailer has no Dickless scenes.
Yeah, he's left completely out of
Walter
this one,
Peck
yeah.
is not in there at all. And then, but it was kind of cool seeing him in the other trailer because that'll be interesting to have him in the film. Overall, I'm going to go in with those, like I did with the last one. The expectations relatively low but hopeful, and this looks like if it may be on a level with the first one. So who knows? So it was, again. I hope Nick is right about that, keeping that GW message lower. But it's going to be there, Nick. Let's just hope it's lower. And yeah, so Patton Oswalt, let's hope he's only in as little as possible of the film. That would be nice. Be nice if he wasn't there at all. So,
Right.
cautiously optimistic.
You know, I gotta wonder if they're showing all these cameos already, like in the other trailer, Walter Peck. You know, we got some Janine. We get the rest of the gang. Makes me wonder if they're hiding a cameo or two. God, fingers crossed, Rick Moranis is in this.
That would be really cool.
That would be nice.
Trailed off there.
I said, hopefully Rick Moranis is in this motherfucker.
Oh,
That's
Rick
what I
Moranis.
was thinking. I think they're hiding Rick Moranis.
Because they're showing a lot of cameos already, right? Like, it's like we're seeing a lot of the Ghostbusters. We're seeing, you already got Walter Peck in the other trailer. It's starting to make me wonder, who are they hiding yet? We already seen Slime
obviously
Green.
Sigourney Weaver. I mean, they're hiding her.
Sigourney Weaver's a
Oh yeah,
possibility.
they're totally hiding. There's no way she can at least have a cameo in there. That would be
She
a missed
loved the
opportunity.
Ghostbuster franchise, so she'll
be there somehow.
Yeah, she'll find a way in.
Good.
Well, and it's
That
my
makes me
understanding the Afterlife cameo with her was shot after the fact or whatever. Was like it wasn't even meant to be a part of the movie. It was just because Bill was still around or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. But
Well,
anyway,
I mean, in the 90s and even in the early 2000s, anytime someone would ask her about Ghostbusters, she would then get into pitch mode and try and sell the third one from all the stuff that Dan and Harold were telling her at the time, because she really she liked that role. It was different than what she played before. So yeah, we can hope for that. Hey, Rick Moranis was in New York City for a very short time when he got punched, unfortunately.
that was in 2020 though. I looked that up.
That was, yeah. So, but the thing is, like, he's been there for a couple of years because he moved there. Technically moved.
I
there.
think he didn't do the last one because his original plan was to come back with that Honey I Shrunk the Kids reboot. Well,
yeah,
it was
Shrunk.
supposed to happen. That has been seemingly. I haven't
been
heard shit about it.
Yeah, like I haven't heard any new production information. It seems like it's sidelined as far as I know.
That's what I'm wondering. So I'm wondering if maybe, just maybe, hope above hopes, he would know that if you can't come back in that, this is the movie you make your fucking comeback in to let people know that you're back. Anyway, sorry, CC, you've been quiet. What did you think of this trailer?
Well, Paul Rudd playing Paul Rudd just doesn't really do it for me. So.
Really? I think he fits kind of right in with the crew.
Yeah, I don't hate it. It's just not really my thing. But to your point, everyone looks like they're having fun. I mean, it does look like it was. I don't know. I'm not getting any kind of like tense vibes in that trailer. Everyone's smiling, everyone's laughing, and if it can just be a campy, good fun, movie, and everyone goes to the theater and sees it, like I'm all for it. I
don't know. That last scene seemed like it was trying to be pretty grim at the end. Didn't look like that kid was joking. The Stranger Things kid.
Well, there's only two red flags that I saw in this trailer. The first one is that it follows the trailer format that Disney started with The Force Awakens. It's that style, the slow, somber, weird, soft fades, all that type of stuff. But that's a marketing angle, so that might not have anything to do with the movie at all. I mean, it's the same creative team as Afterlife, so I mean, I was satisfied with Afterlife. That's my expectations going in here to be satisfied. Mm-hmm. The one thing that threw me off is Janine saying, "Ghostbusters, what do you want?" Because that was a joke in context to her being stressed and overwork. Why is she saying that as the normal answering? That doesn't make sense.
It's probably context within the scene, but I get what you're saying. Yeah,
but because that performance does not seem like she is upset or disheveled, which is
like a fan service type thing.
Yeah, it feels. I hope it's actually just part of the trailer, not actually in the movie, because unless they make it have the same type of context of why she said it in the movie, which made it quotable for the movie. So, but I mean, I like the fact that they've brought in all the original cast that's alive and available. They got the new ones in there. I was shocked. Podcast grew like a foot in height. Like the kids almost.
Yeah, he did. Holy crap! I saw my figure of
3
him.
years. 3 years is a long time for children, so that's the case here. So, but I say it looks promising. Definitely does ape certain styles of the animated show, and yeah, I like how serious Dan Aykroyd is playing it in the trailer. So I can't wait to see if they pull in the comical stuff that he did so well from the first movie, like the original Ghostbusters, to balance that out, because that would be nice.
Price.
I think, and I'm pretty sure about this, the reason why there's two trailers is the way Americans see Ghostbusters, according to probably what Sony thinks, is different than what the international people see it. America, it's very much an iconic American thing. And when they did the trailer that was for America, I feel like they went more for the kind of fan service, the humor that we're used to, really telling you that if you like that 1984 Ghostbusters, well, this is what you've been waiting for. It has all the stuff that you want, and it has a more light vibe. It tries to keep more in tone with that first movie, I think. Whereas for an international audience, and they're probably thinking to themselves, we want to do better internationally than we did on the previous, than on Afterlife. So they're really leaning into the fact that they have the Stranger Things guy, and some of the vibe of this trailer is kind of a Stranger Things vibe. It's more spooky. It seems a little scarier almost, and it has a completely different tone because I think they're really leaning into that. And even if, let's say, Ant-Man didn't do well enough to cover its budget, it still made money worldwide. It's still a character that people know. So showcasing more of Paul Rudd and more of the Finn Wolfhard or whatever it is, and making it more of a Stranger Things vibe.
You got that vibe?
I felt that they were going for, there's not as much levity. It seems like the stakes are really high. The music and everything, even what Script was saying, it makes it seem like this is more spooky and less like you're laughing your ass off, in my opinion. Whereas
all the trailers were like that initially back in the day.
I was gonna say, I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, I'm gonna push back a little bit on the Stranger Things vibe. I'm not saying you're wrong. I mean, once we see the movie, you could be right. I think the first one, or Afterlife, I should say, leaned more into that than this does. This has a little bit, and this is what scares me. This almost has a little bit more of the Ghostbusters 2 vibe to it.
Yep.
It does.
A little lighter, a little bit more. I mean, especially after seeing the American trailer, because that's almost, wall-to-wall giggles throughout. Like, I think you're right, Price, in that this one is the darker of the two trailers. This is showing the scarier elements. But I'm not so sure that this one's going to be as dark and Stranger Thingsy.
I'm not
as
arguing.
Afterlife.
I'm not arguing.
I'm not getting that vibe.
You're probably right in your analysis. The way you're seeing it is that it's kind of like the second one. I actually agree with you.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking that they don't care what the movie is. They're just thinking, how do we market it? So if somebody sat and said, okay, Americans, fan service, Peck, funny, Bill Murray tells a joke, Janine, whatever, just make it more like light and funny and do what Americans like. International, we got the guy from Stranger Things, do something that seems more like a spooky thing. Hopefully they're thinking to lure people that may not even know what this is, or maybe they missed the first one and now they want to bring them in.
Fair enough. I was just saying, like, I totally get what you're saying about Afterlife. They were definitely banking on the Stranger Things kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't get that from this one as much. I didn't even realize that Podcast was in the trailer. I totally missed.
Yeah, he's a good foot taller and like 30 pounds lighter looking, or at least he didn't gain weight. He just grew height, so he's balanced out.
Yeah, I'll have to watch it again. But no, like, I mean, there's some ups and downs for me. Like, the ups, I like the characters so far. I like the energy that Bill Murray had in the American trailer that we saw. The tall, dark, and horny was funny. That's a very, Venkman line. I like this one too because we also get to see the rest of the crew talking a bit. We get to see Winston being Winston. The whole research facility thing, I like the idea, but I'm starting to get real Ghostbuster vibes, which gives me pause because, like, I love the first few seasons, but as we all know, famously, between the family group that got involved at ABC and stuff like that, they changed the tone and it went more kid friendly, and that also affected the second film, and that's where I'm worried about the vibes I'm getting. Because it's like, okay, the thing I like about this newer trailer is they're still having a lot of dark elements to it, so that's giving me some hope, right? Because I think one of you guys pointed it out when we saw the teaser trailer that, is there any stakes to this? Wouldn't people be dying if they were freezing like this? Well, we see here, yes, they are dying. right?
Yeah,
Clearly,
which
a
is
bunch of people
first,
died.
actually, for Ghostbusters. You don't see people die in the original 2.
Which kind of then constitutes why you got to get everybody together and why this is a big deal and why a whole big team of Ghostbusters makes sense, right? Like,
And
so
that's why it brings it back to my one red flag, the everyone is a hero issue.
maybe. I mean, well, the one thing is one of the DEI Ghostbusters, it looks like she either dies or gets incapacitated. So that kind of surprised me. And though
so
I
let
will
you
go
know
with
that
some
they're
people are
not a
saying
team
is
of perfect kids. I could get with that. I like the
what
idea
that
of,
sets
okay,
up
these
though is that
kids
sets up
have an
somebody's going to
actual
die,
fight.
and chances are it's probably going to be Bill Murray.
Oh,
I'm just going to
gonna
say
be
it
Bill
now.
Murray. No, I'm down for the kids having a good fight. I think
Bill
that
Murray or
is
Dan
good.
Aykroyd are my two choices that I think are going to go. One of the
It'll
two.
be Murray.
Murray.
And
It'll
I
be
think
Murray.
Murray's the more
Oh,
likely.
God.
It all
choice,
depends
yeah.
on how much Dan Aykroyd and Jason Reitman fight to not kill him off. Like,
Here's
that's the
what
other
you'll
part, too.
have. Here's my theory. You're going to have a through line where Aykroyd thinks he's dying of something, right? Like he's keeping a secret or something like that. So you'll set it up through the whole movie where you think he's going to sacrifice himself at the end, and it ends up being Bill Murray. That's the way they usually do these things. That's what they did in like Ultron and all that other shit. They always do that shit. It's always a forgiven thing when they do that. They set up a red herring. You know somebody's going to die because they keep making it look like somebody's going to die. And as soon as that person looks like they're going to die, somebody else comes in at the last minute and ends up dying totally unexpectedly. And usually it's a new character or an old character, right? Or somebody like a very veteran character or somebody brand new. So yeah.
But I mean, to do that would be very off-brand of Ghostbusters. That's the other.
But so was killing somebody and showing it in the fucking trailer script. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
They may be going to another place here. This is, yeah. And I mean, Aykroyd always kind of wanted to add some more stakes to the.
He always wanted to add a little bit more edge. But the funny thing is that him, Harold Ramis, and Ivan Reitman back in the day, they would desperately wanted Bill Murray, and Bill Murray always refused because the script wasn't good enough. And one of the caveats was that if the script is really good, I will do it. That's his caveat. And so I don't see him coming in to kill off his character, because from his perspective, he'd be like, well, if this movie's really good and I liked doing it and it does well, why would I give up coming back to that role again if this goes the distance in a way that the original franchise wasn't able to do back in the 80s? Like, I just, listen, I think this is entirely a possibility that they start killing off the original Ghostbusters. I can see them doing that as like an edgy aspect to give some different type of tone to the franchise, but it also doesn't feel authentic to the franchise. The only reason Egon Spengler, is dead in Afterlife is because, unfortunately, the actual actor had passed away years prior. That's the only reason they did that.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's a fair point. And I get where you're coming from. I got this gut feeling.
I do not want to see
if they
that
kill
happen.
Patton Oswalt, I would be happy with that.
Oh, well, I brought this up for a reason, because look, we were talking about this earlier on Mr. H, and we did touch on this earlier, but I wouldn't be surprised if Patton isn't like a Janosch character from what we're seeing now. And I fucking hope to God he is, because then that, like Script said, then he's casted perfectly. Plus, he seems to know more about this orb than anyone else does. So it makes more sense that he is probably the Janosch-esque character of this movie, probably. And I hope to God that's the case. And then people even brought up maybe the other guy is too, the guy who brought it in the first place. They might be
Kunal Najani. That he's not a good stand-up, but people pay him.
He was in Eternals.
Yeah, his bit in this trailer, anybody could have done it and made it funny.
The only reason he's got certain attention is he and his wife wrote The Big Sick, which is based off of a true story, so they say. I have my doubts, but I mean,
actually, I'd even argue that somebody like Chris Farley would have been even funnier, because he'd have come in all like, I don't know what this is. He wanted us like $40. This, I've never seen anything like this before. $60. Or something like that. He'd do it.
Well, he'd be like the security guard in the first Wayne's World, really direct, focused. That would be a good fit for him if in a bit part. Yeah.
But that would have also introduced him into this role, and that's the thing, is he was meant to be one of the guys before, and that's kind of what I was hoping for, is they would start introducing guys like Paul Rudd. Makes sense to me. Like I don't remember who it was that said it. Was it you, Price, or somebody? Or
no, I don't mind him. I think she
was it
CC, I think. CC.
Somebody said it. I'm sorry.
I like Rudd.
And
I think he fits.
I like him.
I think he fits. I think he fits in this universe.
I
guess
agree.
what I meant by that is I hope they don't cheapen scenes by just having these one-liner Paul Rudd moments throughout the movie.
Rudd's gonna Rudd, dude.
Yeah,
here's my
Paul
thing,
Rudd's
and
gonna
this is
Paul Rudd, and I actually, I agree
like
with
it.
the guys here that I feel like his style of humor does fit in with what the Ghostbusters do. So,
well, he's
for
very
me-
much Venkman, right?
yes.
He's like he's
God,
his
you
own
nailed it.
version of Venkman. He's not exactly Venkman, but he's his version of Venkman. So what you have here now is you have Venkman being kind of replaced with Paul Rudd. Okay, I can deal with that. You have the Egon character being replaced with Phoebe and her mom. Okay, I can deal with that. What I'm afraid of is Patton Oswalt is going to replace the Ray character, and that's another reason why I brought it.
That would be awful.
It could be podcast, but if they're introducing
podcast.
Patton Oswalt as an adult here, that's what I'm saying. You still have an adult character.
Yeah, that would be horrible.
Because I have a feeling by the end of this movie, they're going to have a thing where they're going to say that we can't have young kids being Ghostbusters anymore. Because that's a big point of contention with people. And luckily, you have most of these kids getting to the age of adulthood now. And I said that's the benefit of jumping this many years in between films. But I think that's going to be a thing going forward, especially after the scene with Walter Peck in the mayor's office making a big deal out of it. So,
Well, I mean, like the Phoebe should be 16 in this. So even though she is a minor, she is legally allowed to be in a car or drive it. So let her hang out the side of it with a proton pack.
Yeah, I mean, so I think they'll dress that, I think, in this film.
Should they make a third one, though? All these kids will already be old enough. I think they'll be able to get away with it. I don't think they'll need to get rid of them.
No. They'll do what a plot point would be to obfuscate their ability to do the job, but clearly we see them in the climax. We see them in some of the other scenes. It doesn't matter what Walter Peck has said. Those kids are not.
Well, and that might even be part of the plot. If you think about it, it might be where they relegate that, you can be Ghostbusters, but nobody under the age of 21 or whatever. And at the end of the movie, they realize that they're going to need as many Ghostbusters as they can get.
Right.
So, So all those kids in the research facility and everybody's going to suit up.
Yep.
Even if Rick Moranis is in this movie, he's going to be in a suit. I bet you every past character. I would even go as far as to see. I wouldn't even be surprised if you have Walter Peck, who does that, who does the whole thing, and then turns around and ends up in a fucking suit by the end of the movie.
That'd actually be funny.
And I could see that, right? Because it could be this whole thing where they got to get as many fucking people together as they can to do this. Yeah. So
part of me thinks they're going to douse him in a lot of slime.
Or something to that effect.
Yeah, probably.
But he's the mayor now, so he almost this is your chance to make him go from being dickless to actually doing the right thing.
To having some balls, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Slimer might get a suit. You never know. So.
You never know.
That's what they did in the cartoon for a brief spell, which did not help.
I was gonna say, I'll give him credit for so far for the older ghosts. They are puppets. You can tell, like the library ghost and Slimer are puppets. At least they made them look that way.
The old lady.
They look like they are to me.
Yeah.
The newer ghosts all look CGI, but at least the older ghosts look like they're supposed to look. So
she's 17 years old, the Phoebe actress.
Yeah. She was like 14, I think it was when she made the first one.
Something
that's
like
the thing.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to remember they shot the first movie in 2018, 2019, wasn't it? Script.
Yep. 5 years ago.
Yeah. Because then they held it on a shelf for a year.
Well, they delayed it once for the pandemic, and then they delayed it one more time just to get an October release. Or sorry, they delayed it for the Remembrance Day release in 2020.
And I still say they should have just held it off until the spring of the next year. I think it would have
would have been better in the spring.
But we're going to see here in about a month and a half how this film does. Anybody else got anything to say about Ghostbusters before we get to Super Chats?
Bustin'
I'm
makes
going
me
to
feel
watch
good.
it.
Bustin' makes.
Well, I have a feeling all of us will be there on opening night.
And I really want it to be good.
Yeah.
This isn't one of those Disney MCU things where I think, oh, this sucks. And there's a bit of me that is kind of happy that they lose money because they've done so many crappy things. In this case, I actually want it to be good because I feel like with Afterlife, they made an effort and I want this to be good.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, same here. I just want to go in with tempered expectations. That's all.
Yeah.
The last one I went in with neutral expectations, and it surprised me quite a bit because I knew the young cast was going to be the torch thing, and it was like the Phoebe character was the one that sold it for me. That and Paul Rudd, because you needed somebody rooted in the past that would take over for Egon's place. And this actress, I can't remember her damn name. You just said it earlier. I think
McKenna Grace or whatever.
Yeah, McKenna Grace. Yeah, I don't know her much outside of this, so I can't speak to her other acting. I know she's like a singer or some shit because she even sings the end credit song. But
she's in Young Sheldon quite a bit. She's quite good.
Yeah, I've never really watched that, so I can't speak to her other acting. But I can say that she nailed. Like I believed she was Egon Spengler's granddaughter.
Totally.
And she wasn't doing an imitation, but it's just like you can believe she's in that family line. I mean, the thing is, her mother, though, is kind of a character that drives me nuts because her mother is a horrible kind of character, unfortunately. But hopefully they fix some of that in the sequel. I'm not talking about the actress. I'm just talking about the way they portrayed the character. She's a very
short-sighted character.
Yeah,
I barely recognize that actress in the trailer.
I remember from a review, like that was, I think, Script and I remember when we were talking about it. That was one of our bigger problems with that. I remember at the time was just how that character was handled. I think, remember right, but yeah. Anyway, Pinochet's Helicopter Tour sends in 2 and says Damian Lewis is a Brit and had many American roles. Oh yes, did we get this one already?
Oh, so did John Mahoney. He played Martin on Frasier. He did tons of American accents, but he's from the UK.
Sergeant Point Blank is here, and he says with $5, maybe they are going for the look of the girl in the Unlimited Justice League cartoons from the early 2000s. Maybe.
The early 2000s was a bit more curvy than Millie Alcock.
Yeah. Then Pilgrim Media is out because of Patton Oswalt, and that's fair. I understand, bro. That's the thing that really rubs me the wrong way, to be honest. I could give a shit about the other guy, the other comedian in quotations. But Patton is just one of those. He don't deserve to be in this movie. That's what bothers me most of all.
Yeah,
like motherfucker is the dude who started the bullshit with Ghostbusters 2016 between the whole thing with Angry Video Game Nerd. Do you guys remember that?
No.
When Angry Video Game Nerds come out and he just said, I'm not going to review the 2016 movie at the time, goes because I have no interest in it. And that's it. That's all his video was, because he had a lot of people asking about it. And so Patton Oswalt blasted him on like Twitter or Instagram or whatever it was, calling him, and he was one of the people leading the charge with the, oh, if you don't go watch it, you're just an istophobic, misogynist pig. Yeah. Because didn't
he wasn't in Ghostbusters 2016? Why the heck is
he wasn't in it? But didn't his
he's just an idiot. Yeah.
Wife write on it or something like that?
No,
thought she did. I don't know, but he was sticking up for it at the time. That was what it all was about.
Well, yeah, he's SAW.
He did do the voice on the stupid fucking video game.
Why did they hire him? I mean, isn't there other actors? Like, why did they insist on hiring him?
I don't know. He's been hovering around this franchise ever since. That's what I'm saying. Because wasn't he at one of the Celebration things too, I think?
I don't remember. The only time I remember him kind of entering into the geek sphere is because he played something like that, a dork on King of Queens. And then he used to go on like various trivia shows for geek trivia. There was one like, I think, Beat the Geek or something of that nature. I think he was on way back. And then he got cast in Parks and Recreation for a character spot where he goes on a rant of merging the Disney, Star Wars, and Marvel properties to filibuster some sort of thing. And that kind of went viral on the internet. And then I guess Disney reached out and got him involved, and that's kind of what got him into playing, like voicing MODOK and working on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. television series and so forth and so forth.
Yeah, here he is.
Fanboy shill.
I really wanted to hate this Cinemassacre Ghostbusters review, but I'm such a fan of noisy, thick saliva swallowing, it won my heart.
Yep, the shill of shill speaks.
Remember?
Huh?
Nothing. Just
that part there, the Chicago.
Yeah, every time, motherfucker can't get away from it.
Very weird to remarry within a year.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
that.
Man, that already feels like a distant memory. Man, I remember when that was like a hot topic. That was probably the very first thing I ever started noticing. Some of the YouTube channels were within our sphere that, like, I guess you could say I was at least starting to be aware of, even though I wasn't fully paying attention yet. I had at least heard some key names come around. Yeah, Ghostbusters 2016 was the first thing for that. Oh man, I don't know if I should thank or blame the movie. I guess in this case, I'll thank it for any consolation. And then you guys had that. Yeah.
I mean, she's a writer, but for some reason, I got something crossed somewhere in my wires and thinking she wrote on Ghostbusters 2016.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, yeah, his first wife was actually a quite accomplished comedic writer, better than him. And she sadly passed away, I think, from mixed medication.
Yep. That's the rumor.
Yes.
The beta rumor.
Oh, it's a rumor. It's nothing but a rumor. Oh.
Yeah, she didn't. Yeah, she's done a few things, but not much for movies. Mostly books, looks like. But anyway, Pilgrim Media says, sorry, didn't mean to be a buzzkill. No, that's all right, dude. We've all been kind of saying the same thing. And Shinosky says, Patton doesn't bust goats, he makes them. Oh. Ooh. Busted makes him feel good, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I like that. I forgot he was in it. To me, that's a sign. So, yeah.
Well, there's one other story I wanted to touch on real quick before we end here, because this is actually kind of a spin-off right of that last story, and it's right up our alley. I didn't even really know this was happening, but I guess they're doing a movie about SNL 75, and we have a cast already. Lamorne Morris is going to be playing Garrett Morris. Dylan O'Brien. Lamorne, I guess is how you say it.
Lamorne, yeah, Lamorne, because it's Morne. So Lamorne.
Is that like some relation? They have the same. I mean, I don't want to.
I don't know if they're related.
Do the assumption thing, but like, you know what I mean. It's just they do have the same last name. It's just I mean, he does look like him, so maybe it's a grandson or something like that, or nephew. I don't know.
Could be.
They got Michael Jackson's fucking nephew playing him. I'm just saying, you know.
Yes, they do.
Fucking Ice Cube's son played him, so.
And
it's not above the realm of possibility.
Wyatt Russell played Kurt Russell.
Exactly. There you go. I just watched Monarch. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, and then you got Dylan O'Brien playing Dan Aykroyd. That one I don't see. Yeah, that's
he has to have the Aykroyd voice. That's the only way he's going to pull it off.
Yeah, that's not no. Then you got Corey Michael Smith playing Chevy. I can kind of see that there. He maybe he'll pull that off. And then the one that's probably the closest here that makes sense, Matt Wood playing John Belushi. Looking at that picture, yeah, he's got the eyes. And that's what matters most about John. He's got those eyes. A lot of acting's in John's eyes. So here we go. The exclusive, as we just went through the cast. Sony is making this. It's called SNL 75 or 1975, which will be directed by Jason Reitman. So we know what he's been up to in the meantime is he's been only producing on Ghostbusters this time out. He did not direct it, for those who are curious about that.
Nope. His writing partner, Gil Keenan, directed this. They switched duties on Ghostbusters from Afterlife.
Yep. So he is and honestly, he's a good choice for this. I think this is a good idea. The casting so far, but I think he's the right choice based on the real life behind the scenes accounts of the opening of episode of Saturday Night Live. So it'll basically take place on the first.
Who's playing George Carlin?
That's a good question. Morris will play Garrett
Albert
Morris,
because SNL was going to be his show before he decided it was a rotating host.
Oh, I'm sure that'll be part of it too. O'Brien will play. We got all that stuff again. They're just repeating themselves from before for some dumb reason, probably because they don't have much to say in this. The original screenplay is written by Reitman and Gil Keenan, who is the person we just brought up. So on October 11th, 75, the ferocious troupe of young comedians and writers changed television forever with SNL's 1975. It's the true story of what happened behind the scenes that night and the moments leading up to the first broadcast. So I wonder how much it'll actually encapsulate as far as the past, or it'll just be like set in like the hours leading up to the show.
Probably. I mean, it's set to debut, I think, for the 50th anniversary, right?
Probably makes sense. I haven't got that far yet, but I would imagine so, considering. It depicts the chaos and the magic and the revolution. It almost wasn't, counting down the minutes in real time to the infamous words live from. Oh, so there you go. In real time. So it's going to be like 2 hours before the show, basically, or whatever. Yeah. The screenplay is based on an extensive series of interviews conducted by Reitman and Keenan with all the living cast members, writers, and crew. Reitman, Keenan, Jason Blumfeld, Erica Mills, and Peter Rice are producing. Morris can currently be seen in FX's blah blah blah. This is all just puff garbage. Yeah, so there we go. That's kind of a cool idea. Did they have a release date on here? No, I didn't see one, but I would imagine you're
If
right.
they're
So
announcing it now, it would be dumb for them to
2025,
not
yeah.
do it, not have it released at the 50th anniversary of SNL.
I would imagine so.
Because I don't think SNL's lasting one more season after next year.
That, or I bet they'll just get this out just in time, like in a limited release at the end of this year for Oscar buzz, and then it'll release early next year. You're right. I bet. If not, it'll be spring next year, probably.
But why wouldn't Jason Reitman want to direct Ghostbusters? I don't know. That's weird to me that he wouldn't want to do it.
Probably not to repeat himself.
Yeah, he likes doing different things. That's the other part too, right? And maybe I mean, again, when his father passed, I would not be surprised if their initial plan was that Ivan was going to direct this one, but because he passed away and they didn't want to get another director on it, Gil stepped up to do it.
That might be another reason, is he just felt after losing his dad that it was time for him
needs to just have a palate cleanser, do something else. That's,
maybe he'll direct the next Ghostbusters. Who knows?
Could possibly, yeah.
But this is a good one in between to do. This is more up his alley anyway. I mean, Ghostbusters was cool for him to do, that's for sure, but that's not the kind of movies he makes. He's a very different director from his dad.
He's more of an indie kind of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, Thank You for Not Smoking is an amazing fucking movie, but that's not the kind of movie his dad would make.
Right.
I mean, his dad made everything from like Ghostbusters to Twins to fucking Beethoven. Right?
Yeah.
People forget that, but yeah. Anyway, moving on. No, I think this is a pretty good idea. I think this is a good cast so far, except for Dan Aykroyd, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see, like you guys said, who else they'll get as far as some of the other big players. But anybody who's been quiet on this have anything to say about it?
Maybe they'll just reuse George Carlin's actual monologue for that, he was the first guest.
I don't think they'll get that far, because if they're going to live from New York, they're just going to, I guess, right away, because it kind of. I don't think they had an original opening sketch for it either, right? It was just right in there.
Trying to remember. I've seen the first episode a few times. I've got first
Me
season
too.
on DVD.
Yeah, it's just been a while. And it was a slightly different format, because George Carlin was in between sketches doing little bits here before.
I was going to say, yeah, he did kind of like a little hosting thing in between. Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember if they started out with him flat or if it started out with a skit. I'm trying to remember.
No, yeah, that's the part I can't remember. But I do know is that it wasn't until several episodes after with different hosts that they started bringing the hosts in to actually participate in the sketches. It didn't start off that way. Because I can't remember a sketch that George Carlin was in the first episode. That's.
He did the opening monologue.
Yeah, but that's
he had an opening monologue after the intro. They don't have the full episode on YouTube here.
So are they trying to do like a 24 thing here, where the movie happens in actual real time?
That's what it sounds like to me. Is like leading the 2 hectic or so hours or whatever leading up to that. Yeah,
go for it. Yeah,
I have a feeling the movie will end when you hear live from New York. It's Saturday night, kind of thing or whatever. Did they even say that in the first first episode? I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I watched it. I have to look. But all right. What's this about Tom King in the back here, Nick?
How we're talking about Tom King. Basically, a comic came out today from DC. And our friend Max Von Priestley looks like he read it, which he cropped out a photo from it. of the dialogue. When I said the dialogue from Tom King is so cringy, you're going to get a good idea of Tom King dialogue. And I'm assuming that's either in that flow, that's either Dick Grayson or Damian Wayne, judging by the hairstyle. And this is Girl Boss, Men Suck, Turn to 11 right here at the dialogue.
We're unworthy.
And of course,
that's Wonder Woman.
It's supposed to be this girl, from what I hear. I've heard Richard Meyer talk about it. Apparently, her name is Trinity. Apparently, she's supposed to be the daughter of Wonder Woman because of course, she's a daughter.
Oh my god!
And look at the dog. Our parents are so privileged, but they didn't notice. The world was one of heroes. I was like, oh my god. Yeah. So yeah, this is the guy who they want you to be excited about.
Oh my god!
Tomorrow.
Our parents had so much, and we only have hope.
We're so privileged.
It's disingenuous to have a guy named Dick. There's no dicks.
Is this legit dialogue or the same deal? What happened?
This is
what happened with that?
dialogue.
Grandparents had to fight in World War II, but we have hope.
Because you know the hoax that just
They
happened.
went through.
Oh
the
yeah,
depression, but we have hope.
Chuck Dixon,
Which
I know.
was very
My parents
believable,
went
by the
through
way.
9/11 and all
very
kinds of other
believable.
bullshit, but I have hope. That's all I got left.
Right now, we're at a point now where we don't. It's so hard to
fuck this
tell if
shit.
it's parody or if it's reality, and that's the sad part. Is like, yeah, you can't, even if you hear that it's fake. Are you sure that it's fake? Are you, sure? Because
Yeah,
that
Tom,
looks
well-
exactly like what Tom King would say.
Tom, you know about that? What happened with the fake thing that Chuck Dixon and some other people got fooled into posting yesterday or day before yesterday or whatever it was?
Yeah, I posted it myself. Yeah, I knew.
Yeah,
it was
I did.
fake,
Yeah, I
but
mean, it looked well. I mean, it was easily believable. I mean, Chuck
it
Dixon.
was. That was the reason I posted it.
I thought, well, that figures.
Because I knew people would believe it.
It was
Well, and if-
yeah. It was believable. I mean, and then Dean Cain actually posted it.
Well, and I kind of
took
set it up
down.
that way by saying "said no one ever" or whatever is what I posted over top of it.
Well, it looked
So, like,
credible.
depending
to
on
me.
how you read it, either way you read
Right.
it, it's true. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is what I was wondering about. This one we just saw. Like, this another one of those? I guess not.
Well, remember, it is Tom King, and Clobby, you
Yeah.
and I know a little bit about Tom King each. This is right up his alley. If it, in the odd possibility that it's somehow not real, it lines up with the stuff that he does, because he has a habit of every story he does besides Supergirl. He likes to have a lead male character and a lead female character. And with the male character is always crying, always depressed, absolutely very super suicidal. The woman is doing all the heavy lifting, being amazing. The guy worships the ground that he walks on. We saw it
That's Tom
happen in
King.
Miracle and Big Barda.
Yep.
We saw it happen in the later issues of Batman with Catwoman, Adam Strange, and what's her
Adam
name
Strange,
again?
too.
What's Adam Strange's
Alana.
girlfriend's? Alana, thank you. And then also not only did they have Adam Strange get cucked by Alana, but they also made Mr. Terrific wish that his son was never born. I was just like, what the fricker did they do with these characters? So he just basically, any male character to him is just bad and evil. And yeah, I guess that's what happens when you take Tom King off a leash, and he's been doing this ever since, ever since the the wedding that never was. Basically, he has been.
That we
doing
knew was
this.
never going to happen because Tom King was right.
Right. Yeah,
We all knew it wasn't going to happen, but here's the thing: a lot of shops felt like it was possible because, Tom was going on late night TV. They even had I remember at conventions, they're giving out wedding invites. I remember a few shops even ordered cakes for it. And I remember when that happened. And then, of course, it didn't happen. And I remember the shop I went to at the time in Chicago. Remember, this is super echo chamber blue of Chicago. Customers there were pissed too. They're like, what the hell is this crap? And a lot of the guys, some guys got turned away, wouldn't buy their copies, which sucked for the retailer at the time because it means he is stuck with this comic because the leak got out. But a lot of guys said, I'll buy this issue, but after this issue, take me off the book. So they at least made sure, most of the guys make sure the retailer wasn't left with books hanging around. After that, they said, I want to unsub instantly. If you look at the chart numbers from Comic-Con, yeah, you'll see that the book sharply declined after that happened, like dramatically, because the book was in the 6 digits range, coming out twice monthly,
Which
and
was weird for me because, like, I
ahead.
got out of comics around 2006 as a buyer. I just started reading back issues. But the one thing I knew when it came to if you're going to do an event like Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle getting married, there was only 3 writers at that time that DC would have actually committed to that. That would have been Jeff Johns, Jeff Loeb, or Scott Snyder.
Mhm.
And if you didn't have any of those 3 doing that story arc, it was not going to happen.
Mhm. It'd be one thing, it's one thing if it's one thing if it, you could even made it happen and have them get like a divorce later. But the fact that they gave the promo, I think, is what really hurt it. Is that they put all that work into it, even trying to get normies involved. Because it's one thing if like you keep it within the in-house, I guess you could say
Right.
the consistent customer. But the fact that they are going out of their bounds, to promote it to the outside world, I think that's what brought people's hopes up. And that's really what crushed it, was all that hype, because people were built on that expectation between, getting invites from DC for the retailers and the conventions. Yeah, and since to that day, Batman's comic has not recovered since. It has not. No, they've had a few writers since. I've not read any of them. From what I've gathered from friends who've talked about it, from the sales, the book has not recovered. Like, you'll have people say, "Oh, it's better, but it's not great." A lot of people are buying it just because they're completists, and hey, respect them. To me that I was just like, yeah, I like being a completist, but not to these guys.
Well, there you go. And with that, I think we're gonna round this out here. Nick, you got a show coming up here in about an hour, do you not?
We do. Toxic Tuesday, Crocodile Dundee in 1 hour, and we'll have Price of Reason as our guest as well. So I'm looking forward to having him be a part of the ridiculousness of it all and all the debauchery. Thanks for having me, Tom. That'll be a thing. Of course, Comic Shop Talk Friday night. We'll be talking the classic X-Men story, God Loves, Man Kills, as well. Thanks for being here, chat, and have a fantastic evening if we don't see you on Toxic Tuesday. But if you do come to Toxic Tuesday, you'll be glad you made the decision with your life. Thanks for having me, Tom.
No problem. And Price, what else you got going on besides tonight?
I still haven't finished that video. I think it's going to be posted tomorrow. I'm so late on this, the He-Man one. And then I'm going to be on, as Nick said, on Toxic Tuesday. It's going to be huge and diabolical. And then, is that what he usually says? I don't know. In any case,
that's a few of the things.
And then on Thursday, I'm doing Quantum Leap. Yeah, that's it, I guess.
Script?
Oh, well, for my Patreons today, a bonus episode dropped of our Scripts on Saturday show, so you can go listen to that. That is exclusive to Patreon. And this Saturday, we are doing Scripts on Saturdays, where we'll be reading a screenplay that discusses the dark areas of the family YouTube video world. So be on the lookout for that this Saturday. It should be a pretty interesting one.
All right. And to answer the question from earlier, yes, the first show did start with it live from New York. It's Saturday Night Live skit with John Belushi as the foreigner and a therapist, and then Chevy Chase comes out and says it. CC, what you got going on?
Friday night karaoke.
As we do, it's Loki Oki. Every night after Loki. Or every Friday night after Loki, I mean.
That is correct.
All right, Clobby, what else you got going on?
Oh, well, thanks for having me, buddy. It's been a pleasure being here. Tomorrow night, the Wild Card, Wednesday night, and Thursday night, the Clubhouse with Raquel. I don't think Mark D can make that one, so it'll just be the two of us probably. And then Friday night, I'm about J-Man's channel reviewing all of Frank Miller's Daredevil run, hanging with Nick and the boys after that, the Comic Shop Talk for their God Loves, Man Kills, X-Men graphic novel review, and then Saturday night, Star Trek. Which is oddly enough on Saturday nights, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Is your Frank Miller run starting with his pencils or starting with his writing?
We actually started 158 with his pencils, and now we're
Nice.
we've done it. We've been three shows in. We're doing 3 issues at a time. Now we're just last week we started with his actual writing, so it's a blast going back to that, man. I bought those when they first came out. It's incredible, great stuff.
Awesome sauce. All right, well, take care of yourself, kids, and we will see you on the morning show.
As a reminder, I've been here when it was glory hole days, and I've been here when it wasn't. And so, having said that,